Peace, family. I hope you guys are happy and healthy and doing well. Let's talk about garden planning. It is 2:03 right now. And if I were a new gardener, I'd be outside taking note of everywhere where my sunlight is hitting, even on the porch. If you can see, I strategically put my seedlings where they're going to catch sun. This side of my garden gets the most sun. That's because I come out in the morning, come out in the afternoon, come out at noon, come out in the evening. I can see where the shadows are. I can see the sunniest and the shadiest spots in my garden. So over here is the shadiest side of my garden. This side gets the shade faster. When I'm planting out, that is mostly the last bed that I plant when it's peppers and tomatoes and really heat loving stuff, because if it happens to get a little bit cooler at night, they'll die in that bed, whereas if they're in this bed, they'll stay warm enough to live. So when you're wanting to plant your sustainable garden, you need to know about the plants that you're planting. Like I said, my heat loving plants, by that I mean like my tomatoes, my peppers, my eggplants, okra, corn, all that stuff really likes heat. However, tomatoes don't like 100+ degree heat. So if I were to put tomatoes in this shadier bed, it may last longer into the summer. Whereas one in the middle bed might die out faster because it's getting sun for longer in the day. Same with my front yard. My front yard doesn't get any sun until afternoon, actually. So most of the stuff that I have up there is okay with that. I'm not gonna try, well, and y'all know I try to sneak my food and my medicinals in the front, but I'm not gonna put like a pepper plant up there because it's just not enough sun for the pepper plant to do what it needs to do. You want to think about your timing as well. So, okay, for instance, in the wintertime, I had these brassicas over here. Well, in the springtime, I don't even know if we really have a spring. It's so quick, but it gets really hot, and they're not gonna like that. They're want to go to seed, and I want them to keep giving me all these babies. So I'm gonna scoot them out of the sunnier spot. Actually, when you start going this way down the side, it's less and less sun. So I'm moving that stackable planter, and the brassicas are going to go this way. That way they're going to get less sun, hopefully last a little bit longer. And I'm planning to plant carrots in here as well, which also won't want that full on sun. And that's one of the benefits of growing in a grow bag or in a container, is that you can always adjust, like, oh snap, I put you in the wrong spot, it's too much sun, let me move you into a shadier spot, or vice versa. If it's in a bed, you gotta either dig them out or just ride it out and see how it goes. But either way, if you observe a little bit before you start planting stuff out, and if you learn about your plants before you start planting them out, it will really help you choose the best container and spot for your food. So in the summertime, I call this my shade garden or my side garden, but it really doesn't start being that until you get about here to this bed. In this bed, I can still grow tomatoes and basil, things that like heat. There's carrots in there right now. These carrots will last a little longer than the other carrots. Ooh, I hope they're not trying to build a new bed over here. I mean a new nest. I just saw one of those wasps. If we're not having that this year, I'm going to put sweet potatoes in the ground here. So I'm going to extend this bed, finish this bed off, and plant my sweet potatoes in the ground here, because it does still get enough sun here for sweet potatoes. But as you keep going this way, I wouldn't put like peppers and tomatoes and sweet potatoes and stuff over here. Over here throughout the year is normally, well, this is where my dill was. This is where I can keep more brassicas like kales and stuff, and then my spinach, my longevity spinach. I'm sorry, this is Okinawa spinach, but also longevity spinach would do well over here as well. Later, when it's getting hotter and the beans won't like it, I might try to sneak some beans back here, because this side of the garden gets way more shade than the rest of the garden. But it also gets enough, if you can see, I'm gonna turn this way. It'll get enough light for things to grow because the light is like reflecting off my house. So it's a nice little pocket, or what they would call a microclimate. And if you walk around your yard during different parts of the day and observe the sun, you'll be able to catch that. And it'll really, really help you plan out your garden and what you're going to do. Also, it really helps to write your plan down. I just pulled carrots today because last year I planted my beans. Sorry, y'all, I'm looking around because y'all know I will get stung if I don't look around. Okay, so I had lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. I pulled carrots today because I needed to plant my beans today. Last year at this time I planted my beans and they did wonderfully. And the bush beans and stuff, they really don't like the heat. They'll die out. And I live in the south, so it's gonna get hot pretty quick. I'm actually hot right now. And so I'm trying to get them in time. And me kind of having that plan and writing it down, writing my beds down and where things are going to go, and then putting the alarm in my phone kind of helps me really stay on track with what I want to grow. When you want to grow a lot of food, I think a plan is best, because it's like, what are your goals? How many plants do you need to plant to hit those goals? You know, what do you need to clear? What do you need to build? What do you need to buy in order to really have a successful garden season? So think about all these things. Planning, I think planning is great. And when you're thinking about planning, instead of comparing yourself to someone else, just think about your life and what you actually have time for, what you actually have the money for. Your garden doesn't need to look like anyone else's garden. You are not comparing yourself or your garden to anyone else. You are just growing from where you are now. That's all, and that's it. So close your eyes. Think about what you can really accomplish to make yourself feel good, to take good care of yourself and your family, and then keep bit by bit growing from there. All right, you guys, if you have any questions, please drop them below, and I hope this is helping. Like, so you want to start a garden, here is where to start. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace. Cause she just talking and I was about to record. I wasn't gonna show you or hear you or none of that. It's okay. It's real life. Okay, guys, so more on the planning. So this is how I draw my stuff out. When I first started gardening, I read this book, Square Foot Gardening, and I don't fully follow it, but I do think it helped me with my analness in the garden and with my planning, because I draw my beds out. So this bed at the top is the bed that we're looking at, and the second row from the left is these bush beans. We put the carrots out to make space. I did not put any food scraps in here, but I did mix some cocoa coir, some of the good soil, and worms and worm castings that I pulled out of another container. I just mixed those in here, and we are gonna plant our red swan bush beans in here. Okay, family, let's get these bush beans planted. These are all seeds that I saved from last year, so I really hope they grow well, but I do have some purchased seeds as well that I'll be planting in a different spot later, or if this spot looks spotty, I will come back and fill those in. I definitely want to be able to save seeds that will grow so that I don't have to keep on buying more and more seeds every year. So I'm working on it. In this spot, I am planting my Blue Lake bush beans. These are store-bought beans, but I also saved some from these last year, so I'll be planting those in this spot as well. Okay, y'all, these are my saved seeds, and they are definitely not Blue Lake bush beans. I think I labeled them incorrectly, but that's okay. Let's see which ones these are. They might be the Red Swan bush beans, and I'll label better this year, but I did save those seeds. I am going to plant one more kind, my Royal Burgundy bush beans, but I'm not going to show you guys because I don't think you want to watch me plant beans for 15 minutes. I think my last note on planting would be that varieties matter. So, like for tomatoes, for instance, there's indeterminate and determinate tomatoes. Determinate tomatoes grow to a particular size and they give you like lots of fruits, mostly all at once. And then indeterminate tomatoes keep growing and growing. They get longer and longer, and they give you tomatoes over time. So indeterminate tomatoes is something that I would put on my arch trellis to try to keep it going as long as it wants to. Determinate tomato may be one that I don't use tomato cages very much, but I might stake it up and just let it kind of stand on its own a little bit more. Even carrots, there are carrots that grow like 2 feet long. So obviously you're going to want to put those in taller beds or taller containers. Even with my beans, bush beans kind of stand up on their own or they lean on each other, whereas pole beans will definitely need some type of arch trellis or a long enough trellis where they can just keep on growing and growing and giving you beans. Or you can plant them next to your other tall plants like okra or corn or something like that, but they'll use something tall to grow on. So varieties matter. Check the variety of the different tomatoes and stuff that you guys are purchasing. That way you'll know what kind of support you can give to it. And then I would also say that height matters. So if you look at this bed, for instance, the sun is coming from behind me right now. So I'm going to want to plant my shorter plants in the front and my taller plants in the back. If I put a bunch of tall plants in the front, then my shorter plants in the back won't be able to catch the sun that they need. And then my taller plants in the back will also have support. We're actually changing this I'm gonna have a different trellis here to go all the way across. And so that's something that I'm working on right now in my planning, because I already know what I want to go in this bed, but the support isn't there yet. So that's why it helps me out a lot. Once those plants are ready, I will have the trellis here. I will have all the soil that it needs, but I can kind of build these things up over time with planning. So I hope that helps you guys plan your gardens out a little bit more. Drop your questions and comments below, and we'll keep this series going. Thanks for watching.